Good evening. Welcome to the Celtic FC Appreciation Show, episode 3. Saturday night, yeah, again, that time of the week. I'm live with Paul, who's been helping me out. So, yeah, it's been a brilliant sunny day. I know everybody's been out enjoying the weather, that sense of freedom because the travel ban's been lifted. So I know a lot of people have been out enjoying it. They might still be out enjoying the sun now or the nice weather. So hopefully you can join us for a bit of Celtic chat tonight, guys. So my name's Gaz. As I say, I'll be here with Paul tonight for an hour or so, just to discuss the kind of weekly goings on with Celtic this week. Discuss, what's been happening. We've got a wee question of the day I'm going to put to you throughout the show, so feel free to comment on any answers you think it might be. So what to expect on the show tonight? As I say, get your questions and comments into us. We're going to do a wee question of the day. We're going to be talking about the Champions League format. This is a story that's kind of broke, I think, in the last 24 hours, and it looks like it might get pushed through on Monday. So we'll go into that a wee bit more. We'll be talking about Eddie Howe, this saga that keeps dragging on. Is he going to be here sooner rather than later? We'll also be discussing the upcoming future of Leo Helder, the on loan Ross County star. That it's 17-year-old Norwegian with a bright future, according to John Hughes and many others, tipped as the next Virgil van Dijk. We were talking about him. We'll also be talking about Lee Griffiths' future. 18 months left in his deal. Should Celtic extend his deal, or should they cash in on him? John Kennedy's throwaway comment about being the best team in the country has angered a lot of Rangers fans. But we'll get on to that. We'll be previewing tomorrow's cup clash at Ibrox. Also, been giving our team predictions for the game as well. And we'll finish with our top 10 derby games against Rangers. So as I say, a lot to get through. And so I'm going to start off with the question. I kind of showed it briefly to Paul before we came on air. So, question of the day. Since January 2000, 8 players from Celtic and Rangers who have featured at least 10 times for their sides have the same letter in their first name and their surname. So the same letter that begins with their first name and their surname. Feel free to comment throughout the show. Have you got any ideas so far, Paul?
The first thing that came into my head was probably Bobo Baldi, but that's not the case because his name's different. So
yeah, that's Dian Bobo Baldi. So a lot of people's getting tripped up on that.
Yeah. Fraser Forster, probably. Yeah,
there we go. Great start. Fraser Forster's one, yeah. So as I say, get your comments into us, guys. See, there's a few people in tonight already. Mark Hamilton, how you doing? Thanks for joining us. So let's get straight to it. And the Champions League. Can you hear me echoing that, Paul?
No, all good.
That's fine. Champions League format. So this is a story, as I say, it's broken in the last 24 hours. They're looking at reformatting the Champions League. A few clubs aren't happy with it, a few clubs are. What they're basically going to do is they're going to scrap the group stages of the Champions League, basically, and have a table. I think it was 36 teams in this big, massive league table.
Yeah.
And as I'm aware, it will be 5 random home games and 5 random away games against teams that are near your coefficients. And so depending on how high you are up in the coefficients list, that will be the kind of teams you play. So it's 5 home games, 5 away games. And at the end of the 10 games, the top 16 go through to the last 16 of the Champions League. And the 16 that follow basically goes into a playoff round for the last 16 of the Champions League. And the last 4 that finish bottom of the table basically go straight into the knockout stages of the Europa League. So that's the way they're kind of aiming it. It's meant to be rubber stamped on Monday. Firstly, what's your opinions on it, Paul?
Well, understandably, some of the bigger teams, from the bigger leagues in Europe aren't happy about it, because in general it makes their life harder in the Champions League, So I think teams similar to like ourselves, if we're getting there, for example, like your Dutch teams, your Belgian teams, whatever. I think it's a really good opportunity to get in there, and I think obviously Champions League money-wise is good, but also getting in there and being competitive with teams that are closer, because we always get hit with the Barcelonas, the AC Milans, and although we've maybe took some results off them, but we've took some beatings as well. So to be able to play teams that are a bit closer, I can see where the big teams are coming from. That maybe a wee bit unfair, but they're going head to head with teams that are closer to their coefficient. So, and if they want to win Champions League, they're going to have to beat the best teams anyway. So, I think it's a good format. I'm quite excited about it, and I hope we're in a better place in terms of qualifying and getting there. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I take it the money might be, the prize money might be dividended up. It might be divided up a wee bit differently, because I'd imagine, the higher you are up in the coefficient rankings, that you probably get more money, because, if, like, say, Manchester City are going to be playing Real Madrid or Barcelona, and Celtic might be playing somebody like, Molde or Atalanta, maybe somebody like that. Then I suppose that the money might differ in terms of what you're going to expect. I think it's an exciting prospect, and I think that basically any kind of chance that we've got to getting into the Champions League is obviously going to be, welcome to anybody, basically. Brendan Farrell says it does make sense, boys. Very interesting chat. Cheers, Brendan. Thanks for joining us tonight. So as I say, like Paul, it's whether it gets rubber stamped on Monday is a different matter altogether. But I definitely think that there will be opposition from higher up that's going to oppose it, and the likes of the lower teams are basically not. They're not going to be for it. So. We'll move on. I just wanted to drop that in for anybody that didn't hear about it. The Eddie Howe saga, we don't seem to be any further on from last week. I know there's a few reports, differentiating reports that are basically, one commentator saying, or one pundit saying one thing, one pundit saying a different thing. Have you heard anything this week that makes you think Eddie Howe's a done deal, or do you think we're looking elsewhere?
I think we're looking elsewhere. I said last week on the show that I thought it was unlikely that Howe was going to come, because it's taking longer.
Right, so I can't hear you, Paul. Okay. I think Paul's sound's gone.
Can you hear me
now? As I say, what we'll do. Evening,
can you hear me, guys?
Just while we get Paul back. Basically, yeah. So listen, guys, while we get Paul back into the chat, get involved. Send your questions in. Send your comments in. I'm just going to try and remove them and then add them again. See if that helps. Right, there we go. I can hear you now, Paul. Sorry about that. So Eddie Howe saga. I don't know if you could hear me. I couldn't hear you. But Eddie Howe saga. Do you think it's any further on from last week?
I think potentially it might be, but I think I said last week, the longer it goes on, the more doubtful it'll become. I said last week, I reckon it's not going to happen. I've read so many different things this week. Frank McAvenny's been out on force, talking loads of stuff. I read something today that Howe's actually speaking to Brendan Rodgers about the job. So I've also heard rumours that Lampard is the second favourite to get in there, because he would like the challenge, but he'd like to go head to head with Steven Gerrard as well. I've heard just there's so much going around. Harkin, he looks to be Celtic's director of football. That's what I'm reading. That's what I'm hearing. And I think that might be the stumbling block for Howe, because I think he wants his own, his choice. And I think Celtic are adamant on Harkin. So I've also heard, Rafa Benitez, go and get him, because, he's going to go to a mediocre Premier League club, but he wants to be in England. So I don't reckon that's going to happen anyway. But in regards to Howe, Potentially, I might be totally wrong. I still don't see it happening. I think the longer it goes on, and I think the Harkin issue might be an issue for Howe. But Lampard is a second. Wouldn't be a bad shout, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Hinright says, as I said to you, Paul Lampard would be my choice. I think Frank Lampard would be a massive pull for Scottish football. I don't see him being a massive pull for Celtic fans in terms of his Chelsea links and all the rest of it. But, I think in terms of Sky would be all over it, especially if Gerrard stays at Rangers. I think that would be a massive pull for anybody. So whether or no we went with Lampard, I'd be very surprised if we went anywhere except Howe. I think it's going to be a done deal. I've heard a few different reports this week that he's not looking at Crystal Palace or Newcastle job. That the fans shouldn't worry because the board aren't worried. The board seem to have everything wrapped up. It's just wee fine details, maybe about budget, maybe about backroom staff. But as I say, Celtic, as we said last week, they're playing with fire here because season ticket renewals are coming up. Season's going to start on the 31st of July. And basically, we need to get this done and we need to get moving forward. Whether or not it's going to happen when Dominic Mackay comes in next week, maybe that's what we're waiting for. I don't know. But I think it's definitely going to roll on a wee bit longer than expected, but hopefully we'll get there in the end and we can start to rebuild. Brendan Farrell says Lampard always had Stevie G's number, but don't see it happening. To be honest, no. As I say, I can't see it happening, Brendan. To be honest, but I mean it'd be a massive name in Scottish football. Yeah, again,
nobody's seen Gerrard going to Rangers either. So.
Well, the thing is, when Steven Gerrard, I can remember it was on BT Sport doing his punditry in a Champions League game. I'm not sure what game it was, but it was Gary Lineker asked him about the job, and he basically didn't deny it. He says, yeah, there was some truths. They had been talking to Rangers, and I was very surprised at that because I genuinely thought that it was absolute trash. It was media speculation. I didn't see him coming up here, especially not to Rangers. But listen, it obviously is, and that's maybe what worries a lot of Celtic fans because Eddie Howe made an appearance on BT Sports recently at I think Man United's league game with Brighton, and the fact that he wasn't asked maybe ring alarm bells to the fans, but I think that's more to do with the way Dermot Desmond works. I think he's very, very private. He very much likes to keep things under wraps until he can announce it. So maybe that's something not to worry about.
I think if it's not imminent, then it won't happen. I think after the game tomorrow, midweek, if it's not coming then the announcement, then I don't think it will happen. I think it makes sense when Dominic Mackay's coming in. The Old Firm game's out the way. There's not that instant pressure, and whether it'll be the end of the season he joins, which I think is more likely as well.
Yeah, I think when you look at it, I think I was very surprised. I expected maybe an announcement to come on Friday, to maybe give the players a lift. We spoke about it last week, and to give the players a wee bit of a kick, a wee bit of a lift, to know that there's a new manager watching them. So they need to up their game. I don't think they should need any encouragement to go to Ibrox and try and perform for the fans. A lot of them's let the club down or let the fans down in terms of what's happened domestically. So this is our time to save their season and basically march on in the Scottish Cup and try and win it for Scott Brown. Basically, so we'll see what Eddie Howe does in the next week. See if there's any further reaction to it. I want to talk to you about a couple of players' futures, maybe out of contract in the next year or two. Leo Helde, young Norwegian who's on loan at Ross County now. He is being tipped by John Hughes and many as the next Virgil van Dijk, and attracting interest from down south, especially Leeds United. What do you know about the youngster?
To be honest, I actually know a fair bit about him. I know his dad was a professional footballer, played for Rosenborg, I think, believe it or not, his dad actually played in 2007 for Mansfield in England, so it wasn't even that long ago. So he's been capped, I think, under 16, 17 level for Norway. But he's expected to move on up in the under 21s at least. So Celtic signed him for Rosenborg. He's mainly a centre back, but I know at Ross County he's been playing left back at times and left wing back as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe, I might be wrong, but I think he started off life in football as a midfielder. So very similar to Ayer. And having that link. I don't think they have much of a relationship, but I think it could be something they could work on because they're very similar. Sometimes you'll see Ayer out on the right, for example, so I think the way he's performed at Ross County, it's been a hard season. They're in a relegation battle, but you can see the quality of the guy, and I really hope Celtic don't just do what they do with a lot of youngsters and like Karamoko Dembele, I believe he should have been given a shot when Forrest has been out. But I would try and get him signed up, on a deal. And I think he's got like 18 months or something left, or maybe less than that. I don't think he'll go straight into the team, but I think you need to get him in with the team, and that will raise his level even more. So. Yeah, I'm excited about that. I just hope we do the right thing and get him signed up and because there's interest in him, like you said. So,
I mean, he's obviously his contract runs out May next year. As you say, he plays centre back and can play left back. I wasn't aware that he can play midfield, but obviously you're likening him to Ayer in that kind of position. That Ayer likes to roam, and we've spoke about it before. I'd like to see Christopher Ayer in that kind of position to see how much better he actually is. In terms of, he's obviously only played 8 games. He's kind of came in to deputise for Karol Tremarco, who got injured. 8 games. I think he scored a goal. I'm not sure if it was against Kilmarnock last month, but in terms of John Hughes' quotes about him, obviously saying he's got massive things in front of him. He won't be far away from Celtic's first team when he goes back. This loan move will do him the world of good. Training and playing with men, getting battered about, and coming back for more. He's got more in the locker, and he's got a great left foot. He's 100%. He's going to be the next Van Dijk. Trust me in that. But he also says he'd love to see him become a regular at Celtic. Obviously, John Hughes, but massive Celtic fan. We all know that. But he'll be keeping his eye on maybe doing a wee deal if Celtic aren't interested, maybe initially in the summer, but maybe want to kind of farm him out on a full season loan to Ross County just to toughen him up, because it's worked with kind of Christie in the past as well. Yeah. So that would be
Yogi
a massive deal.
Yogi said the same thing about Christie when he's playing at Inverness, that he would go on to be a Scotland international. And as much as I'm not the biggest fan of Christie, he done that. So Yogi does see an eye for talent. So I take what he says as well.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, he's left-footed as well, 6'2". He's got absolutely everything going for him. And as I say, imagine him and Christopher Ayer in that defence maybe. And if we can keep a hold of Christopher Ayer, that would be quite a partnership. Lee Griffiths is a player that is on everybody's lips in one way or another. Some people have got bad things to say him, some have got good to say about him. He's got 18 months left in his deal. Do you see Celtic maybe extending the deal, or do you think they'll try and cash in?
I think I briefly spoke about it last time. I'd like him to stay because he's a natural finisher. But I think he'll go. I think Celtic will cash in. I think they've been very patient with him. And in certain times he's let them down. And I think, just thinking about his age, he maybe wants to play more. As even if Edward goes, they're going to bring in another top striker. Is he going to be playing second or third fiddle still? So I think, I'd like to keep him there because I know what he's capable of, and with the right kind of fitness and stuff, I think he'd be back to his best. But I think Celtic will cash in, or you might even see a loan deal, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, do you see him maybe got an old Hibs kind of sniffing about? Aberdeen's been touted as is trying to get him alongside Scott Brown. Do you think he's got a preferred destination if he does go, or do you think it might be taken out of his hands?
No, I think he'd prefer Hibs if he had to pick Aberdeen or Hibs. I think he's been at Hibs before. He knows the club. In terms of where he lives, is he going to travel up and down to Aberdeen? Is he going to relocate there temporarily? So I think Hibs are probably the better option for him. But I don't know. I'd like to see him stay, but I don't think he will. I think you could see him either going out on loan, or they'll try and get a couple of million for him. Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, we got him for £1 million in 2014. I don't see us getting massive money for him. I don't think he's that type of player. Although he's only 30, I mean, listen, he's still got a few years left in, and if he applies himself in the right way, obviously 7 goals in 28 appearances this season isn't the Lee Griffiths we all know. When you think back to some of the games that he's won for us, and not just for us, for Scotland as well. Who could forget the two unbelievable free kicks against England? That's probably what's annoying me a wee bit as well. The fact that I think if he'd been in the team more, I think he would have been scoring regularly, and then it would have been a shoe in for the Euros in the summer, because he's the kind of strikers that we need. In terms of Jack Ross says he's very interested in Griffiths. Obviously, going back to his kind of home place, so. He probably would, I think, would rather Hibs, although maybe Bruni will be kind of trying to talk him into going to Aberdeen and building something. I don't know. I found just talking about midfielders, found a very interesting stat. David Turnbull, he's had a great season, great future in front of him. He's completed more key passes than Bruno Fernandes and Lionel Messi. I think he's way out in front in terms of that. That's an incredible company to keep, kind of thing. He can get that killer pass, and hopefully we're hoping for that tomorrow, kind of thing. If whether we do play more through the middle, or I think we'll be trying to hit them out wide. But I mean, he's got a massive future in front of him, and it's all about building around him, kind of thing.
Yeah. It was good to see that, it might be promising for Griffiths in terms of Celtic, that Kamala looks like he's on his way out for decent money as well, which I'm quite happy about, so. I
think it's Peter Lawwell's last hurrah, getting decent money for him. I'm very disappointed to see Kamala go, to be honest. I think he had the right application to be a Celtic striker, and while I didn't see him as a Gary Hooper, I seen maybe a Zaravsky type player, so I'm very disappointed it's not worked out for him, and to be perfectly honest, maybe I would have liked to have seen a Yeti go before Klimala. I think Klimala maybe had a bit more about him, kind of thing. But as I say, we're talking about who is making these decisions now, because but we've not got a manager, we've not got a director of football, and head of recruitment's obviously gone. So in terms of that, you just wonder why they're making these decisions. Have they got Eddie Howe on board and he's making the decisions? I don't know.
Potentially, yeah.
But in terms of John Kennedy's throwaway comments, midweek, just I don't know if you've seen the interview, but I mean, what did you make of the comments? Do you think they had to be made, or do you think it was tongue in cheek? Or
I was kind of happy to see that. That's been lacking this season. It's all been false promises and saying what needs to be said. But me personally, I'm probably biased, but I think on our day we're better than Rangers. But I can understand if Rangers said that about us, we'd be the same. But I think it's something John Kennedy said, and I think he meant it. He genuinely believes we are the better team on our day. We've had a poor season, and it was nice to see that, to be honest. If anything, it was just quite refreshing as a Celtic fan to see the manager actually saying, look, we are the best team. But I think Barisic from Rangers was unhappy and says, that was embarrassing of John Kennedy saying that, considering there's 20 points and, they've won the league already, which I kind of understand in their sense, but it's something
absolutely.
I
But I mean, I think when you look at it, I think, I heard Chris Sutton kind of going off in one BT Sports last night, and Alan McCoy was almost kind of defending John Kennedy in what he said, but he still didn't really pick up on the point he was trying to make. He wasn't saying that the Celtic are the best team in the country and they've been the best team this season, because he alluded to the fact that Rangers deserve to win the league, that deserve to be 20 points clear. We've not had a great season, but on our day in the cup competitions, we can beat anybody, kind of thing, and I think that's been shown in the amount of cup games we have won, the amount of trophies we've won in especially the last 4 years. So it is nice to see him finally kind of coming out his shell, I suppose, because he seems a quiet big guy, and I think this is kind of bringing him out his shell in terms of being a manager, in terms of being a coach. And I think he's a lot better in front of the press than Lennon was, kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And I think Kennedy says what he said was taken out of context by Rangers fans or Rangers players, or it wasn't exactly what he says. He just says he believes on a day he can beat anybody in the league, which is true.
So, yeah, absolutely, and hopefully we back it up tomorrow with maybe a good performance in it and a good win.
Definitely.
But in terms of, we're just going to go back to the question of the day, because I've just seen a couple of correct answers. I need to actually mark these down. So, question of the day was, guys, since January 2000, 8 players from Celtic and Rangers who have featured at least 10 times for their clubs have the same letter in their first name and their surname. And I think it's Chris Hanrat. He says Foster, Novo, and Quayler. That is 3 correct. Yep. So listen, keep them coming in. Get thinking about them. Some of them are easier than others, kind of thing. If you maybe go through the alphabet, you'll get more. As I say, Bobo Balde wasn't a correct answer. I did think Bobo Balde was one. I can also tell you Bolingoli isn't actually one, because his last name begins with an M, apparently. So that wasn't one either. A couple of comments. Brendan Farrell, is there any money available, lads, to the new manager? You would need to ask the hierarchy at Celtic, Brendan. Your Desmonds, Peter Lawwells, or Don Mackay's. They'll be able to tell us better. I think there needs to be money available to whoever comes in, whether it's Benitez, Howe, John Kennedy, or Roy Keane, or whoever. I think there needs to be a fair chunk of money, and I know we're not guaranteed the Champions League money yet. We need to qualify, but I think it's a rebuilding process. You've got 6, maybe 7 or 8 loan players that need to go back to their club. You might want to try and go and keep somebody like John Joe Kenny, somebody like Elyounoussi. So that money needs to become available, and you're not getting them for pennies. So whether Celtic let them go back to their parent club and then go and try and get players like Declan Gallagher, who would cost a wee bit cheaper, kind of thing, then maybe that's what they're going to do. How much, if you've got a ballpark figure, Paul, that you maybe see available in the summer?
I think a lot depends on who's the manager going to be, because that will depend on season ticket money. So I think initially that's the most important thing for. They need to sort the management and who's coming in, and that will then in turn buy season tickets. I think there has to be money available. I think players going out. I think there'll be some transfers, so I don't think all of that will be made available. So I think it's important we get what we can, as much as we can, in tough circumstances for loads of clubs all around Europe and the world. So, but I think there needs to be a steady investment. They invested a lot of money in poor recruitment last year, and I think if we can recruit well, with our funds, I believe we would have spent half the money last year that we did, and we would have probably done better if we had better recruitment. So, because there's other players out there that would have proven in Scottish football or down south that we could have got cheaper. And I think obviously the big thing for me was the goalkeeping situation. Fraser Forster left. In my opinion, he's just went for the money. Celtic weren't willing to pay it, which I totally get. So, in the goalkeeping situation's been a bugbear all season. So, there definitely has to be money. I think, and you're probably talking about 20, 30 million, for a rebuild. I would reckon. And I believe with that we could definitely bring some talent in that could help us.
Yeah, I mean, I think Chris and Ratty says I think we'll need at least 20 million to rebuild the squad, but it will depend on who gets the job. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think I don't know if John Kennedy wins the Scottish Cup and gets offered the Celtic job on a permanent basis, I don't think he's going in there demanding £20 million, even anywhere near that. But I think if maybe an Eddie Howe or a Benitez or even a Roy Keane comes in, then I think you're probably more expecting them to go to the board and say, this is roughly how much I'm going to need. I know who I want. We need to go and get them. And then that's obviously what it is. But I don't see maybe a John Kennedy kind of almost liking it to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at Man United. He's almost too nice to go and bang the chairman's door down and say, I need this, I need that. So it'll be very, very interesting to see, obviously, who comes in and how much we're going to need. Brendan says, what do you think about the goalkeeping coaching and recruitment? Well, obviously Fraser Foster said midweek that it was an easy decision for him to come to Celtic on loan to get a run of games. I think he played 50 or 60 games. Some unbelievable nights he gave us and some unbelievable days the big man gave us. But I think when you look at it, he seems to have been very, very happy just to go back to Southampton and fight for his place. And I know he's getting a run. I know he's getting a run of games. I know he's getting a run of games in the Southampton team at the moment. Yeah, so basically, it seems to be. I don't know why the sound keeps going, Paul. Yeah, so he seems quite happy to be back at Southampton, and he's a player I would have loved. But in terms of coaching and recruitment, I mean, do you know anybody that's out there that would maybe be ideal in that kind of scenario itself?
Last week I said Barkas will go, but I still kind of believe that, but I don't really. I'm not the best at the goalkeeping position. Baines came in and done a job, but I think in particular for Europe, we need just a bit more than Scott Bain, and that's no disrespect to him. He's good on his day, but we need somebody that, like your Fraser Foster, big guy, controls his defence, manages the box, directs the play at the back, and that's what we need. Whether that Barkas might come into the frame and start producing more, maybe he's found it hard to transition, or we bring somebody new in. But yeah,
I'm no Barkas' biggest fan, and I haven't been this season. I don't believe that he's done anything particularly wrong, but I think in terms of he's just been kind of shot shy a wee bit in terms of he hasn't pulled off that Fraser Foster save, and I know we keep going back to Fraser Foster, but that is a level that we're all aiming to get to, and I think we've had an abundance of talent in goals at Celtic over the years, and when you look at Arthur Borrock and Big Fraser on two occasions, most recently, I think I would definitely. I think we need to give Barkas a chance. Next season, we've spent nigh on £5 million for him. I think we need to give him a proper go. As I say, with a proper defence in front of him, an established defence where you're going to start the season, whoever's in charge, and you're going to basically go, right, that's my back three and my back four. And if one of them gets injured, I know who I'm putting in. But you're no chopping and changing it every week. Because that's what's maybe up to me a wee bit. The fact that you don't know who's playing in front of you every week. So, it's chopping and changing. Duffy was in, Duffy was out, and then players injured. Julian was injured for most of the season. So, I think that's probably what's annoyed him, and maybe he's just not settled in. But it's at the end of the day, it's down to the club to then make him more comfortable at the club, kind of thing. But yeah, definitely we need to improve on that in terms of the goalkeeping and not concede as many goals between now and the end of the season at the very least, but also for next season. Kind of before I get on to tomorrow's preview, just want to say if you follow us on the socials, guys, we're on Instagram and Facebook. We're soon going to be on YouTube. I'm going to set that up in the next week so we can then stream to YouTube as well. So search Celtic FC Appreciation on Facebook, and if you search CFC Appreciation on Instagram, give us a wee follow. We like, it really means the world. The numbers have been going up absolutely tenfold, largely due to a post that I put on during the week about Neil Lennon, and the videos that appeared about him during the week. As I say, I wasn't going. I got sent the videos from someone, and I wasn't going to share it. That was my aim right from the start, and I thought I'll just put on a kind of show of support for him, and because he genuinely, it broke my heart a wee bit to see him like that. I know a lot of people were saying on the page that, listen, he's went on a night out and he's had too much to drink, and that's all it is, and you're blowing it out of proportion. But I think you kind of need to look into it a wee bit deeper, and you see the kind of state he got into and the emotions that he showed. I don't know if you've seen the video, Paul, but did you think it was just a good night out, or did you think there's more to
it? Yeah. So I'm at the conclusion. I know he had a hard season, but I just think he had a bad night. I've been in worse states, I'll be honest. And,
I think we've all been in worse states, to be fair.
So, that doesn't necessarily mean he's no suffering at any point. I never said that. I just believe maybe that it's, I think it's, it's one of these things. You're in the public eye. You go out, you get absolutely wrecked, and somebody videos you. It could be just as innocent that he just had, he's too much to drink, whatever. But it could be deeper than that, and sometimes these things, especially mental health, comes out, and it's not easy to see, but you see signs, and that for a lot of people is a sign. So I'm not disregarding it at all, but I'd like to think he's just went out and he's just had too much to drink, and he probably regrets seeing the video the next day. And I hope that's the case. I genuinely do, and I hope he's all right. But if he's not, mental health is massive. It's in a high pressure job. But we've all had lockdowns for a year, lost jobs, whatever. So I'm sure everybody has either not necessarily have mental health issues themselves, but know someone that has, and I think it's important to reach out.
Absolutely, and obviously that goes for anybody that doesn't. You don't need to be high profile to be suffering. Anybody that is suffering, I would advise them to reach out to somebody. Anybody, message somebody just for a chat. It always helps. I know we've all suffered through lockdown one way or another. And as I say, the post that we put up, the kind of show of strength post, went absolutely viral. It went crazy. It's still actually growing. I think 250,000 people it's reached. Over 2,500 reactions and hundreds of shares and comments. So it's great to see in terms of for the page, because it shows how much people are paying attention to the page, that it gets that kind of likes, and hopefully we've already smashed through another target there. So listen, as I say, all the best to Lenny. Hope he's okay. Hope the hangover was worth it. But in terms of tomorrow's preview, a massive game in our season. Do you think the Scottish Cup will mean a lot to the players, or do you think they've just suffered with domestically in the league that they might not kind of put in the kind of performance we're all hoping tomorrow?
No, I think it's massive, and I think the players will know that as well. I think it's an opportunity to put them back in their box, and it's an opportunity to stop them winning a double. It's and us to go and win a trophy and have a double. We'll have a double. We haven't done well in the league, but it's an opportunity for us to put them back in the box, and that for me should be enough for the players. They'll want to stamp and say, look, we had a bad season, but we are here. And I think the game last week, I hope they take the confidence from that and they push on, because I believe, like John Kennedy says, on their day they can beat anybody, and they'll beat Rangers tomorrow if they're on their day. That's what I believe.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we obviously spoke before, and I don't think the players should need any kind of kick up the backside tomorrow. I think Bruni especially, it's a wee bit more poignant because it's Scott Brown's obviously last hurrah, and he'll want to be standing there at Hampden and steps at Hampden in May the 22nd, lifting yet another Scottish Cup. It should be a fifth Scottish Cup in a row. I don't think it's ever been done. I don't remember anybody winning 5 Scottish Cups in a row. So it's a chance to break another record, and I think he will be, giving it tight in the dressing room tomorrow. I think when you see him in a huddle tomorrow, if the camera goes on him, he will be, giving him it tight tomorrow, and he'll be making sure that they're not pulling out any challenges. In terms of, talking about injury news, James Forrest looks like he's the only one that's still kind of 50-50. Now, in my opinion, I think John Kennedy's playing a blinder here by not revealing whether he's fit or not. I think he's going to wait to kick off tomorrow and basically announce it. I don't, because it gives the opponents, it gives Gerrard a chance to combat it if he knows Forrest is in the team. So, do you think he'll make it, or do you think it's maybe it genuinely is a last minute decision?
No, I think you're right. I think I think Gerrard will be aware of the situation, and I believe Forrest will be on that park at 3:00 tomorrow. So
hopefully, I don't think there's any other injury news that we need to concern ourselves with. So just going to jump straight on to team predictions. Who do you see starting tomorrow?
I think from the back, obviously, I think Bain will be in. I don't think it will be much change from last week, if any. I see Kenny and Taylor on the left and right, with Welsh and Ayer in the centre back. I think there'll be a kind of 4-2-3-1 with Brown and McGregor in the two in midfield, with Forrest and Elyounoussi going on either flank, and I believe Turnbull will play behind Eddie.
I think you're probably right. I think the team that started against Livingston last week would play, and fingers crossed that that James is in that squad, because that's what we've been missing. I think not just in the derby games this season, but in terms of domestically and in the cups. That's what we've been missing. We've been missing somebody that's going to hit that byline down the right hand side and cause problems in the area, because obviously I think they've got a few injury worries, and I think Gerrard's playing a wee game of his own with like maybe James Tavernier. He says he's not going to rush him back. I believe that if James Tavernier is 40 or 50% fit, he's in that team tomorrow. I don't think Balogun's going to play. Ryan Jack's out for the season, obviously, missing the Euros. So, in terms of, I think it'll be as is with Rangers kind of thing. I don't know whether he'll start with Morelos, or he might drop him to the bench, because he's got that Old Firm goal now, because he's got that derby goal. I think he'll be happy to leave him on the bench and maybe bring him on if needed. But in terms of where Celtic go tomorrow, I think we've got to bully them right for the off. We've got to bully them right for the get go. I always say with the derby games, first 5 minutes is key and it's vital. And I believe that that first aerial challenge, I think you've got to get up and put them on their backside. Basically, I think you've got to get up and win the ball and show them that you're in the game right away. Because if you kind of get shoved off the ball in the first few minutes, it dictates the way you're going to kind of play for the rest of the game.
Yeah, definitely. And all I want to see is a bit of consistency, which has been lacking this season. And there's 2 games we've played Rangers off the park and no took the chances. I want to see the chances getting slammed in the back of that net. Simple. And that's all we need to do on our day. We've been better than them twice already this season, and I hope we can just take our chances. And if we do that, then I don't see anything other than a Celtic win.
Absolutely. In terms of We're going to go into derby games in a minute. I'm just going to get through. In terms of the question, guys, Chris and Ratty is absolutely on the ball. He's getting through them. I don't know if Siri or Alexa's involved, but in terms of, I think when you look at it, Fraser Foster's one, Nacho Novo, Michael Mull's a great shout, Carlos Cuellar, Scott Sinclair, Claudia Canigi, I didn't think you would have got that one. Stephen Smith, yep, and Borna Barisic. He's absolutely flying with us. Anybody else want to join in? Feel free, get commenting. I'm trying to think what ones he's actually missed out. I'll give you a few clues with ones in there. After we're going to do a top 10 derby games. So since 2000, we're going to do a top 10. So what's your first game you've chosen?
The 6-2. O'Neill's first. Yeah, that's my number one, to be honest, since 2000, definitely.
I think when you look at that game, I think if anybody says, your favourite derby game since 2000, everybody says August 2000.
Yeah.
Demolition Derby, Chris Sutton's Old Firm debut, Martin O'Neill's debut as manager, and I still remember how it was scorching. It was one of the kind of summer days. It was just, everything was perfect about it, and we were 3-0 up inside, I think, 10 minutes. Some brilliant goals, and obviously for me, I know it's debatable maybe because there's been a few cracking goals, but I think you'll never see a better Old Firm goal than Henrik Larsson's lob against Stefan Klos. I think it was for Chris Sutton's chest down. I think he's absolutely amazing. So I'll go for my next one. I'm actually going to go for a draw here, a game that finished a draw, but I thought it was a great advert for Scottish football. I don't know if you remember it, October 2002, Celtic 3, Rangers 3. So I think this was probably at the time that the Boer brothers came to Rangers, came to Glasgow. Yeah. And I can remember it was just end to end. I can remember Larsson scoring, I can remember Arteta scoring. I think Sutton might have scored been on the score sheet that day as well. It was just end to end. It was phenomenal football. It was just, that was obviously back when both of them were kind of equal. You would get maybe one game where, as I say, we're going back to the 6-2 game, but the following game everybody's buzzing about it, going to Ibrox and you lose 5-1. So back then you couldn't take it for granted, and I think in recent seasons we've been guilty of kind of doing that, where you're going into a derby game and you're kind of going, okay, it's we'll scalp them 4-0, we'll scalp them 3-0. I think that's just the norm that we've had for the last 4 or 5 years. But that was a great game, great day. Anybody that remembers it, unfortunately, I'm old enough to remember it. What sticks out is one of your next games?
I was kind of stuck between two, so I'm just going to be spontaneous and pick one. March 2018, 3-2, down to 10 men. Eddie scored. Absolute cracking game. Yeah. Yeah.
I remember that. Was that the game Jozo get sent off? Am I right in saying that? He got sent off for a flailing arm.
Think so.
Aye.
I can't remember.
Because I can remember Douglas Ross was linesman that day, and I always say I have never seen a linesman so animated. Because I can remember him waving the flag furiously and shouting to the referee, right. Red card, red card, red card. And to be honest, I mean, I know he's kind of caught him, but it's Morelos. He doesn't need to take any invitations and going down. And I think it could have been probably yellow, but I know why. So we're obviously going to say that. But in terms of, I could not believe it, because I think they went ahead twice, if I'm right in saying. I think I can't even remember who scored the first goal. Wasn't it Ryan Jack? Was it the first one? Or Windass?
I can't mind. I think
Windass scored. I think Windass scored the first. We equalised with Dembele, but I don't think it was. No, Dembele was away by then. Rogic it was. Where he curled it. It's outside of the box. Yeah, Chris, it was Windass. And Tom Rogic gets his level. That ball for Scott Brown, and Edward lobs the keeper.
Yeah.
That famous "What's the goalie doing, Tom?"
Yeah.
Commentary will live forever in the memory. Puts the head, and then I think Candeas equalised in the second half. We go down to 10 men, and you're thinking, what way is this going to go? Jetting against 10 men at Ibrox, and Edward with an absolutely amazing strike. I think maybe Cham kind of played a 1-2 him.
That's right.
Played him through.
Yeah.
Brilliant game. Brilliant. Love it. I think I'm going to go with my next one. The day we won the league at Celtic Park under Brendan Rodgers, April 2018. That's probably the first and only day I've kind of. That's probably the first and only day I've kind of went into a derby game thinking we are genuinely going to take 5 or 6 off of this mob today. I thought so confident, so assured, because they were flattened. They were so void of confidence. They were so just down in the dumps, and we really the only I suppose the only criticism I would have about the game is the fact that we went 5-0 up after about 46, 47 minutes, and I think they almost took the foot off the gas, as if to go, we don't want to embarrass them that much. We've embarrassed them, and we'll not get anybody sent off or injured. And I think we very much took the foot off the gas, and I believe that we should have really buried them that day and maybe hit double figures, because I think the way we were playing, I think we could have been 3-0 up inside the first 10 minutes that day. Jamesy had an amazing game. Obviously his first goal against Rangers as well that day. PC Lustig grabbing the keeper's hat, that was phenomenal. And again, a brilliant summer's day. Place was buzzing, and that will live long in the memory. What's the other ones?
So my other one, which was a close second for me, was the 5-1 game in September. Dembele hat-trick, first hat-trick in like 50 years.
Yeah,
something like that. I was actually working in Celtic Park that day, so I was watching the game and I was working, and I was like, I'm not working anymore, I'm going home for a bevy. It was some game, man, and I remember it so clearly. Just demolished them, yeah.
Aye, I think going to my next one, Celtic League Cup final, Betfred Cup final, December 2019.
Yeah.
Christopher Jullien with an amazing goal. Fraser Forster with the most unbelievable goalkeeping performance you'd ever likely see. For that Ryan Jack save in the first few minutes, I can remember actually was thinking that day the game was going to get postponed because of the weather. I remember it was hurricane winds and absolutely torrential rain, and I thought, God, this game's going to get called off, and they managed to play it, and it was horrific conditions. But I've never seen Rangers so dejected after a game. Do you know what I mean? Like, they put so much into it, and as I say, on another day they would have won. But that was the confidence we had at the time that we could hold on. And Frimpong gets sent off, and you're thinking, God, Morelos grabs a penalty, and you're like, oh no. Because it's a cup final as well, you just thought, oh, please don't. And I couldn't believe when Foster saved it, and just unbelievable joy. Last few minutes were torture. Absolutely unbelievable game. But that's one of my all-time favourites. What other ones have you got?
I've got one in here. I'm not sure if you remember, but it was quite an important one. It was in November 2006. We beat Rangers 3-0 after them beating us the previous game. So I always remember that just being such an important game, because I remember there's a lot of attention in terms of Celtic not performing well, not doing well, and then we come back with a 3-0 Old Firm game win. I don't know why that stuck in my head so much, but that was definitely one.
That was I do remember that one. Fun enough you say that, 3-0 victory. I've got a 3-0 victory as well. I think, if I'm right in thinking,
January.
This is the right one. Alan Thompson with the free kick in the last few minutes to make it 3-0 underside of the bar. I can remember the England. I can remember the England scout was there watching him.
That's right.
and I think he left before he hit the free kick. I'm sure the story goes that he left just before he hit the free kick. So obviously Tomo got his cap through it. So but he was playing unbelievable at that time, and some brilliant goals that day. And it's always good to keep a clean sheet against Rangers, but to date like that was unbelievable. Trying to think the number we're at. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think, is this your 5th?
Yeah, I've had all the same as you, so I'm pretty much done now. I've only got one from November 2002, which I thought was a big one. I think we lost the league the previous season. Obviously, in 2002 it was a big year. And then in November we beat them 2-0 at Ibrox. Kind of sticks in the head. I think it was the whole Seville thing, and then going into the following season, we had to make some sort of statement, and come back. And that 2-0 win at Ibrox, I remember clear. I'm trying to think who scored off the top of my head. I think it.
What year was it?
2002 November.
2002. And it was the score 2-0.
2-0 Ibrox.
It wasn't it would have been likes of Sutton and Hartson and Tomo and Petrov. Was it Petrov and Bellamy? No, am I right in saying that? No.
Yes, I think you might be right there. To be honest, because it wasn't a normal kind of like.
I think that was Manny's one.
Yeah.
I think that was the one Bellamy ran over, and I think Petrov got scalped with a Coca-Cola cup.
Yeah, that's exactly.
He celebrated in front of the Rangers fans, and then Bellamy cut inside Kyriakis, took him, sold him for a hot dog, and then and then bent it into that top corner, and I think he slid in front, he kneeled down in front of the Rangers fans and blessed his cell, and absolute mayhem. That was unbelievable, an unbelievable day as well. I think Chris Henritti says 2005.
2005. That would be right.
So I must be wrong then.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what that 2002 game was when. So I can remember Sutton scoring at Ibrox, which I think was the fastest ever goal. 19 seconds. I don't know if we won that game. But I can remember games leading up to the Seville season, obviously, that, I think we had some games against them. I think when you look at it, March 2019, massive game in terms of beating Rangers 2-1.
Yeah.
I think Edouard scored the opening goal. Ryan Kent scored the equaliser. And I think it was vital because it was Neil Lennon had just taken charge the month before. And it was his first derby game back in charge, I think. Might have played one before that, but Jamesy Forrest got on the score sheet that day late on. Absolutely brilliant. Jamie Reid says Sutton scored early but got beat 3-2. I think that was in 19 seconds goal game. Chris Henritti says Thompson and Hartson. Yeah, so that's the 2002 game. It's just been so many. Beating Rangers 5-1 at Celtic Park in September 2016. Just going to rattle through these. There's been a few 1-0s. I can remember a League Cup. Match midweek, and I think Maloney scored an absolute worldie.
That's right.
Right in the top corner, and I think maybe Baldy scored the second, because I can remember him actually. A corner came in and he absolutely flattened the keeper. And scored the second goal, and we went through that time. Talking of League Cup games, we've had a couple of League Cup finals against them. One which sticks out when we took them to extra time. Darren O'Dea and Aidan McGeady with the goals in extra time. Massive games. But in terms of Scottish Cup, obviously, Scottish Cup, even when you look at it, there's been a few 1-0s. Henrik Larsson, I think, one year, it might have been his last season, when we went on to beat, I want to say Dunfermline. I think it was Dunfermline we beat in the final. It was his last ever Scottish Cup final. But listen, massive games, and I'm hoping there's going to be lots of goals tomorrow and all in green and white. But I don't think there will. I think it's going to be one of the games tomorrow where I fancy extra time. I fancy a tight game. I think it will be 2-1 to Celtic in extra time. What's your score predictions?
I'm going to go 3-0 Celtic. I'm always an optimist, so
Nothing wrong with that, mate. Nothing wrong with that. Love it.
Yeah.
I think when you look at it, let's see. Just try to find these quiz answers because I think Chris and Ratty's got a few. Can you think of any more? Just in terms of before we wrap up.
What about Yarasik?
Well done, mate.
Check.
Yuri Yarasik.
Yeah. Big Dublin. Dion
Dublin. Yep. So I'm trying to think how many more we've got to get. So for Celtic, we've had Fraser Foster, Scott Sinclair, Dion Dublin, Yuri Yarasik, Serbian striker for Celtic.
Stefan Skipovic, something like that.
Well done.
Yeah.
Goalkeeper would have been about Craig Gordon's era. He came in, played a few games, wasn't very good.
Oh. De Vries,
Doris De Vries, yep.
Yeah.
Current striker.
Current? Yeah, so... Ayeti.
Albion Ayeti, that's the one. And there's only one more Celtic one to get. Dutchman.
I didn't even think Virgil van Dijk. Van Dijk. Yeah.
That's the trick one because basically obviously everybody just thinks Dijk kind of thing, but not Virgil van Dijk. Rangers ones, I think we've had already Nacho Novo, Borna Barisic, Carlos Cuellar, Claudio Caniggia, Michael Mull, Stevie Smith. How far back? There's one January, probably 2000, right at the very start. Played for Rangers. I think he was from Finland. I'm not sure if he was a midfielder or
Johansson.
Jonathan Johansson. Yep. Yeah. Who else do we have? A more recent one came from Man City originally. Played at Hibs. Rangers got him on a permanent no longer.
Barker.
Brandon Barker.
Yeah.
That's another one. And the last one, goalkeeper. I think he might have been Danish or Norwegian. Beginning with S.
Simonson.
Steve Simonson. Well done. Superb. So that was it, yeah. So 16. I thought it was a brilliant question because I was actually thinking about it one night, just a bit of I'd think these random questions to make up. And so as I say, Bobo Baldi and volleyball and goalie unfortunately wasn't ones to add on. But so basically, guys, that's it for tonight. I know we've ran over our time a wee bit, but it's fine. So we're going to be back on Wednesday or Thursday. I'm not too sure of the night because I'm trying to organise a one-to-one interview again with somebody. There is a few kind of higher profile names we're trying to get on the show. So hopefully we get on. Hopefully we go on and kind of share our streams, share the videos that we're doing. Also, we're on Spotify, we're on Google Podcast, and we're on Pocket Cast as well with the show. As I say, we'll be back in Wednesday or Thursday. Don't forget to follow us on the socials. It's along the bottom of the bar, Celtic FC Appreciation. And obviously, we'll be discussing. We'll be back next Saturday, me and Paul again.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any. I'm trying to think. I don't think there's any derby games next week. I don't think so. No, I think it's the week after. So I don't know if that's going to be a Saturday or a Sunday. But we'll be back in Saturday. And as I say, guys, anything, just keep following the page, keep liking the page. It absolutely means the world to us, honestly. And as I say, I'll say thanks very much again, Paul, for joining us. It's been a brilliant show. Really enjoyed it. And as I say, we'll get in touch with you during the week and we'll discuss what we're going to bring up next week. Hopefully, we'll have a manager. I know I say that last Saturday, but eventually we've got to get a manager involved. And I think we obviously Dominic Mackay coming in during the week. I think it's going to help things as well, move things along. So, as I say, guys, thanks for tuning in tonight, and thanks for all your questions and your comments. And we'll see you on Wednesday or Thursday, guys. Thanks very much. Cheers.